As people get older, they tend to get more lonely. They are left alone more often, and unfortunately, their circle of friends gets smaller each year. However, there are those who find happiness in solitude, though even they find solace in someone to talk to and will often adopt a pet to keep them company. Animals will listen without judgment and are often very devoted to their masters. The story we will tell you today is about such a friendship, but the pet isn't what you might think. If you'd like to know what it is, stick around until the end of the story. Seppo Lamminen, a Finnish old man, lived all alone in his country house in the middle of a dense forest. He had lived alone for a long time and was used to his loneliness. However, sometimes the man really wanted to find a true friend with whom he could tell stories from his youth. Unfortunately, there was not a single person for many miles around him, but the animal world had much to offer. The winters are very severe in those places, and Seppo often went around the area and set up feeders for local birds and other animals to help them survive the cold. The man himself also had a hard time in the winter. The frosts were severe, and he had to constantly heat the stove in the house so as not to freeze. One dark winter evening, Seppo, sitting by the fireplace, was quietly reading a book when he suddenly heard strange sounds on the porch outside the door. The man was alert. There was clearly someone behind the door. Carefully approaching the door, he listened. Then, opening the door a little to the outside, he saw a small, freezing animal on the threshold. She looked at Seppo with her small, black, beady eyes, clearly asking for help. The man was able to determine right away that this was an otter sitting in front of him, an animal that usually avoids people and is extremely wary of strangers. Now the otter, despite her fear, came to the man for help. Seppo felt sorry for the poor animal, and carefully closing the door so as not to frighten her, he went back inside the house in search of food for her. In the pantry, he found his jar of worms for fishing. Fortunately, a few worms survived. Then he took out some frozen fish, put it all in a bowl, and slowly opening the door, placed this treat in front of the otter. The otter looked at the man in disbelief at first, and then greedily began to eat what Seppo had prepared for her with such care. After eating everything from the bowl, the otter quickly rushed off into the darkness. The next day, in the evening, the situation repeated itself. When the man opened the door, the otter was sitting in the same place and waiting for a treat. Seppo again brought her frozen fish, and the otter ate everything with great pleasure and ran away again. Since then, the otter visited Seppo every evening. Gradually, the otter began to get used to the man, became noticeably bolder, and one day, after she had eaten her treat, she slipped into the house and began to inspect the rooms. First of all, she went into the kitchen and sniffed every corner there. The man was not surprised that the animal found the room with the most food so quickly. Seppo and the otter, whom he named Ivari, became true friends. Now they went out for long walks in the woods together. The otter even began to respond to her nickname. It happened that Seppo, without waiting for his friend at home, went out to the pond and called her by name. Then Ivari emerged from the water and ran to her new friend. Then they walked together along the shore and went home, where Seppo fed Ivari fish, and then she curled up in a ball and quietly slept near the stove. The news of this unusual friendship soon reached the nearest town. Guests from the city began to come to Seppo to observe the unusual otter and her human friend. Seppo and Ivari became local celebrities. Once, a local journalist came to visit the man. He shot a whole report about an elderly man and his unusual friend. The journalist took a lot of pictures and videos of how this interesting couple spends time together, how they walk, play, and live together. After these pictures and videos were published, they gained millions of views in a matter of days, and Seppo and Ivari became famous all over the world. The otter trusted Seppo so much that she once even brought her whole family to him. Apparently, she wanted to introduce them. The man was touched to his core. Many years passed in this friendship until one day Ivari didn't come as usual. Seppo was worried. He got dressed and went to the pond. He called Ivari for a long time, but she never showed up. Then the man realized that she had most likely passed away. He didn't even get to say goodbye to her. For a long time, he waited to open the door and see his beloved otter on the threshold, but she never appeared again. He missed her so much. Dear friends, a man helped a wild animal one frosty winter evening, giving her some food, and it became his true friend for many years and was devoted to him until the very end. Having done good that evening, Seppo could not even imagine how this friendship would end. So let's do more good and kind deeds, because sometimes it doesn't cost us anything to share a piece of bread with a freezing animal, stretch out a warm hand to it, and possibly bring it home, giving it shelter and warmth. This is just a small thing for us, a small thing that can save someone's life. And if you like the story of Seppo and Ivari, then please give them a like, because they deserve it.